Imagine you faint in an unfamiliar room without food and water, and getting out from there seems almost impossible. Something like that happens in our story today. After promising to drink alcohol all night, when a man woke up in the morning, he started having a severe headache. He looked to his side and became scared to see a dead rat lying right beside him. Soon he realized that he was trapped in a room like a vault. The room had an iron door and a cupboard. Many rats were scurrying around him. Some of them were busy filling their bellies with the dead rat. After that, the man looked at his watch and saw that it was 9 a.m. He tried very hard to open the iron door, but it was of no use. He started knocking and shouting at the door, but no response came from outside. He had no idea when and how he got into this room. After a while, he started feeling the pressure to urinate and urgently needed to go to the washroom. At first, he thought someone was teasing him. He felt that this was the work of a man named Fletcher, who worked with him. He began to jokingly say that as soon as the bar opens, Fletcher would fire him. But after some time passed, he realized that there was no sign of anyone outside. He took his phone out of his pocket and called Fletcher, but there was no signal there. This directly meant that his connection with the outside world was completely broken. He, the iron present in the room, he also tried to open the cupboard, but it was completely sealed. He walked around the room trying to find hidden cameras, but there was nothing like that there. Now he couldn't understand anything, and slowly his irritation started turning into anger. He began shouting loudly at his colleagues. Filling with anger, he took off his belt and started pounding on the iron door. After a while, he collapsed and stopped because he hadn't eaten anything for a day. He screamed that if he wasn't let out, he would hand everyone over to the police. But still, no response came from outside. An entire day had passed, so he woke up from sleep and checked his phone. But the phone slipped from his hand, fell down and broke. No food or water was present, so to stay alive, he had to do something. He took off his shoe and out of necessity, urinated in it and drank it. Because of loneliness and hunger, he was going crazy. Suddenly, he saw a key in the ceiling-mounted tube light. Immediately, he broke the light and took out the key. With the help of that key, he opened the metal cabinet, inside which he found 2 cans of pure oxygen and tools like a hammer and a pickaxe. Using the tools, he tried to break the iron door, but there was not even a scratch made. He began trying to burn the door using the welding machine, but he didn't know how to use it. Seeing the welding gun's flame, he got an idea. He made a plan to trigger the fire alarm by using fire, hoping to get some water. Unfortunately, the alarm turned out to be fake. After that, he planned to break the door lock with a crowbar. However, the door was so strong that he couldn't even break it with the crowbar. Distressed by severe hunger and thirst, he began to fall into depression. He began to vent his anger by violently beating the cupboard. But after a while, he calmed down and sat down again. Then he saw a hole in the wall. He immediately took a crowbar and began to break it. He was eager to create a tunnel there to get out. Gradually, the oxygen level in the room began to decrease, so he decided to take pure oxygen. However, subsequently, the amount of oxygen within his body started to increase noticeably. He started feeling dizzy, so he turned off the oxygen can, and his gaze fell upon some insects on that dead mouse. To survive, he had to eat those insects and bugs that had turned into bear grills. After eating, he continued working on making the tunnel. After a lot of effort, he widened the hole, and he began to see the iron bars inside the wall. He cut those bars with the help of a welding gun and continued breaking the wall. After a short time, light started coming from there, which made him leap with joy. Now the hole had become so big that he could pass through it. But as soon as he crossed that wall, the ground beneath his feet slipped, and he didn't come out into the outside world, but into another room just like that. His entire effort would be in vain. In frustration, he began pounding the iron door like a madman. After a short while, he calmed down and glanced around. In a corner of the room, there was a red-colored coffin. He carefully removed the lid of the coffin and saw a beautiful girl inside. Her eyes remained wide open. She didn't seem to be awake, so she was probably sleeping deeply. When the man shook the girl, she was terribly frightened. When he tried to talk to her, he realized that they didn't understand each other's language. Frightened, the girl went and hid in his old room. That man no longer had the strength to explain anything to her, so he decided to spend the night sleeping inside the coffin. But in the middle of the night, the scared girl came and woke him up. She indicated to the man to continue the tunnel work, but due to hunger and thirst, it became impossible for him to do anything after working for so many days. He had also injured his hands and now needed a period of rest. The girl herself picked up tools and started digging the tunnel, but it wasn't that easy. A short while later, she felt the need to urinate and ran towards the other room, but the man signaled her and began to explain something to her. Actually, he hadn't drunk water for 3 days, and the girl's urine was extremely valuable to him. Hesitantly, the girl agreed and urinated into his shoe. In order to save her life, she had to complete this extremely dreadful and frightening task. although the young girl could not understand his language. But upon seeing the man, she realized what needed to be done to survive here. Then the man also began to teach her how to eat insects, but she clearly refused to eat insects. After that, the man started working on tilling the wall of the room. But even after quite some time, he was only able to till a small portion. Seeing this, the girl began to cry in despair. Why isn't this wall breaking? How can it break? It's made of Ambuja cement. The man sang a song to calm her and she also started to sing along. But then, by mistake, the man's hand was struck by a hammer. The girl immediately took a cloth from her head, applied it to his wound, and as they saw, a friendship developed between them and both began to work on digging together. Suddenly, the iron door lock started turning on its own. Both ran towards it, but the lock returned to its original position. After trying for quite a while, they realized that as long as they leaned their backs against the door, the lock would stay open. Slowly, they approached the door while keeping their backs pressed. Eventually, the door opened using this trick, and both reached the third room. Unfortunately, it was the same empty grave that had been kept there. And just like before, there was a metal door. The girl showed wisdom and quickly brought all the tools from the previous room. They tried to open this door the same way as before, but whatever they did, the door remained locked. Now, besides digging a tunnel from the grave, they had no other way. Now the man had no strength left in his body and he collapsed after feeling dizzy. The girl was still fine because she hadn't exerted herself much. Now the man began to develop a fever when he truly needed the one who had imprisoned them. The man felt that he was the one being held captive. He wants to see both of them kill each other, so to escape, one of them must die. The grave in the room is the destiny of one of them. To end all the trouble, the man thought of spilling the girl's blood, but he couldn't do it. Now, his hope and desire to live had completely vanished. So he lay himself down in the grave and began to wait for death. The girl tried to keep him awake by slapping and punching him. However, the man remained completely still and didn't stir. She gently took the man out of the grave and began to lay him carefully on the ground to help him sleep peacefully. Now she had become very annoyed as well, so she went to the door and started whistling. However, no whistling sound came from outside, and now she couldn't see any way either. Eventually, she quenched the man's thirst with her tears. If he died, his thirst was quenched. She won't survive much longer. After a while, she started to remove her clothes. Even in her unconscious state, the man realized what she was doing. The girl's touch kept him slightly awake. By some means, the girl kept him awake all night, and after a while, both collapsed onto the ground from exhaustion. A little later, when the man opened his eyes, he saw that the girl was sleeping right beside him. Crawling, he went to the other room, took clothes out of the coffin, and wrapped the girl. After that, he fainted again from weakness. He could hear the sound of the lock turning. Both immediately got up, and just like last time, this time also, both started moving forward by pushing towards the door. Now the man had become so weak that he could not walk on his own. The girl somehow supported him and carried him to the door. Suddenly, this time the door opened and a very beautiful sight appeared before their eyes. The world outside the iron door was nothing short of heaven. All around, beautiful waterfalls, birds and flowers were spread out. They had never seen such a beautiful sight until now. Both looked at each other and began to smile with joy. After enduring so many difficulties, they finally received such a beautiful ending. We lock you in a room and the key gets lost. So who would you like to be locked in a room with? Let us know in the comments.